Good morning, traders. Gates W. Adams back with another episode of the Trader Bacon Show. We have an exciting day today. First of all, Thanksgiving week. We've got a short week of trading, and hopefully you're going to have some time off to spend with some family and enjoy some fantastic food. But before we get to that, today I have Rob Hoffman with us. He is the CEO of Wealth Charts. He's also the host of Wealth 365 Summit, which is coming up in January. He is also 32-time winner of live real money trading challenges. This is where you get together at the conventions and the top traders get together and duke it out live with real money, not funny money. And 32 times he has taken the championship. So we've got a very seasoned, experienced, and powerful trader in our midst this morning. So help me welcome Rob Hoffman on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now.
Rob, good morning, man. Uh-oh, I've lost your audio. It looks like you're muted, buddy.
Let's try that again. How about that?
There we go.
All right. Good
Perfect.
morning, Gates. Great to be with you and the whole gang.
Man, love having you on here. What a resume. So I know we're going to bring some fire today. I know that the viewers are really excited to hear what you have to bring today. Before we get into the meat of everything, we are giving away 3 evaluations from Apex Trader Funding. Want to make sure you guys get registered for that. I'm not going to have a bunch of time to plug it because we've got some great content today. So make sure you get those forms filled out before we get into today's meat. Rob, all right. So let's learn a little bit about you, man. How long have you been trading?
Wow, well over 25 years, a quarter century plus. Yeah. So.
I have to admit, I got a huge kick out of seeing a picture a minute ago. I think we'll see it here in just a second of you trading on some CRT screens.
Yeah, sure. We can pull up the screen if that's okay. They can still see us, I think.
Man.
So yeah. So, and of course, just a reminder as the gang, we want to remind you, trading involves risk, not just reward. Many of you know that, but Gates and I really want to make sure we bring that to you. And if you guys ask me how would I do certain strategies, we're not doing it live on the screen this moment. Obviously, those are hypothetical and have inherent risks. So but yeah, the screens that Gates referring to is right here. This was back in the 90s. I was interviewed a big brokerage at the time that I was trading with, and I was very active with them. They were doing a TV interview, and so they were doing a bunch of interviews with me. And so yeah, that was out in California, and yeah, it's pretty funny looking at those screens now, considering they're about this thin these days.
Right. That's awesome. So how did you actually get into trading in the first place? What brought you around?
Well, actually, 2 things. Number one, I love chess. And these books right here. So I was a teenager and went to the library and checked out the books. Then I lost the books and paid the library for them. And now they're part of my permanent book collection. So yes, I tried to buy the books. They said, well, you can't buy them, but if you lose them, you'll have to reimburse us for them. So, but needless to say, so those are part of the official archive of books when I was young. Hey, that was many years ago now. I was like, what, 30, 40, some years ago. So, it's a long time ago. Sure. But yeah, How to Read the Wall Street Journal, The Language of Wall Street, all these fun books, which honestly, those are not where I would start today if I had to start all over again. I would start with the knowledge I have today, which hopefully we'll talk about some of that. And I would do like an Apex account to be funded, because when I was young, I didn't have any money, so I would just look at the Investor Business Daily and Wall Street Journal, and I would take a look at the charts in their little boxes and say, hey, based on that, I think here's where the market's going to go. So it was my love of chess and, my passion as a teenager. I actually started learning the markets in January of '87, right before the big crash, which got me really excited. Yeah. And the exciting part about that was it got me to focus on how to make money on the downside just as much as traditional investing. So that was a real blessing to actually come into that, not have real money at stake, but learn that I need to understand how to short the markets.
That's such valuable information. I know a lot of people now do trade both directions, but I remember coming up when I was a young trader as well, that people were surprised that people were making money on those downward turns. Exactly. Times have definitely changed for sure. So, kind of tell us, lead us a little bit through. I know we've got some other stuff to check out here. Lead us a little bit through your progression and what's brought you to where you are today, and some of the things that have really been a part of your success.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's where I started here. And then, I've written a lot of articles on my different strategies. We're not going to talk so much about the inventory retracement bar strategy today, but hopefully we'll come back and be able to teach some of these additional strategies in addition to the ones that I'll share in a little bit in future events. But, really what's happened for me over the years, I've done these trading competitions. So long before that, of course, I was just like so many of the people here today. So I'm hoping to give them some tips, tricks, and ideas, and strategies that are battle tested. In fact, these are pictures and scenes from real money trading competitions, around the world, highly regulated. In fact, Daryl and I, of course, Daryl, the owner of Apex here, wonderful person. Daryl and I actually were in one of these head-to-head trading competitions against each other years ago. So he knows I'm a very real trader. He did great. I did great. I happen to do a little bit greater, but he went ahead and did great too. But we developed a mutual respect so long ago because it's like, wow, that guy's a real trader, and yeah, he's a real trader, right? And so we've known each other for so many years. So you guys, in my opinion, are with a great program, being with Apex, and so I've done these real money trading competitions, and then. So here's all of them that I've won. Of course, we had the COVID hiatus back in 2020, 2021. And by the time 2022, they, allowed the, the groups to be able to travel back and forth without vaccinations and all that stuff. In 2022, that was July 2022. It was too late for the competitions. So 2023 was my first year back. And I went over to Europe there and won 2 competitions, the Champions Cup and the Top of the Top duels. So very exciting to, be right there. And those were some of the scenes and some of the awards that I won there. Here's me teaching the audience. So I'm teaching while I'm in this trading competition because they're like, hey, the audience is asking questions. Can you go show it on the screen? Meanwhile, I'm trying to focus on the trading. And then you got 3 people standing over you, the judges and everything. So it's an intense environment. So,
well, we all think we face pressure trading. I mean, there's a whole new level when you're in the midst of a competition like that.
Yes, because they're verifying your trades and they're verifying your accounts and all those things. Kind of like when you saw the big ones here. This was one of the final duels. So this was like this was a 12-hour competition that was 16 traders that went to 8 traders that went down to 4 traders that went down to 2 traders. This scene right here was the final round. Here's the head judge, and then here's 3 other judges standing around me. This was over in Paris, France. So there's a lot of foreign language speaking as well. And then they're asking me to speak to the audience while I'm in the middle of this big duel. You talk about pressure. So I understand pressure. And so we'll try to talk about some of the strategies today. Sure. But, all of these strategies, the thing is, you can't just be in up markets, can't just be in down markets, can't just be in sideways markets. And so while the market in 2022 went down quite a bit, then early 2023 had a nice upswing, and then a lot of chop and volatility in the meantime. This is what the last 2 years now have looked like. Through that entire process, 2022 is my best year with real money. Now I'm certifying real money was my best year in modern history in 2022. And now 2023 has been even far better. So I'm hoping so that's all through this whole process of down markets, up markets to sideways markets. So I'm hoping that this will help today when we talk about a couple of these ideas. And everybody has their reason for trading. I just want to share mine real quick. I'm very proud of my family. They're wonderful. These are some, wonderful pictures. My lovely wife, Sarah, and my daughter and my son, Mackenzie and Logan, just, absolutely wonderful. And that's why I trade. Everybody here has a reason. We want to see you get towards those goals, no matter who you are. And then the other reason I do it, my wonderful student family that I've grown with, Apex students. We have a lot of Apex students using wealth charts, for instance. And many tables of students were at our wedding years ago, and on my 45th birthday party cruise, 70-some families came on with us to spend a week with us on a cruise, and in Europe and in here in Texas recently, and that. So no matter who you are, it's exciting to go ahead and have you a part of what we're doing here today. And so I'm ready to get right into it and teach and answer your questions, Gates, about what I do and how I do it.
Absolutely. Well, I assume we're looking at some wealth charts right here, right?
That's correct.
So tell me, first and foremost, what all are you trading typically?
I love the futures. I love the futures. Now, listen, equities and options, very strong in those. In fact, Wealth Charts has incredible tools for equities and options. But because of the nature of the group here today, and my personal passion, I love to trade futures. I'm going to focus heavily on futures today.
Sure. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at SPY, NQ. Okay. So
Yeah.
What is it that, okay, so first and foremost, when you're trading, are you trading primarily on what you see in the charts, or do you have a lot of prep work that you do prior to getting into the charts?
No, the only prep work that I really do is I take a look at the daily releases, so I know what's coming out at 8:30 Eastern, what's coming out there at 8:45. If there's an 8:45 report at 9 o'clock, sorry, I give it was in Eastern time. So 8:30 Eastern time, 9:45 Eastern, 10 Eastern, and then of course if I'm looking at crude oil, for instance, or if you're doing natural gas, then a 10:30 report. So keeping those reports in mind, and then of course every day we have the U.S. Open, so always very conscientious of the U.S. Open. So my only real prep work, I'm a trader. Now, if I were looking at equities or options, that would be a whole different thing, which we could talk about a different time. But for this audience, the earnings reports and that won't be as in earnings season won't be as much of a factor per se for today's conversation. But so if we're intraday, I'm really just looking at what reports are coming out, because you can have the most picture perfect trading opportunity and it can get completely blown out of the water if you're trading right into a news report.
Right.
There's no substitute. And same thing with the U.S. Open. There's no substitute for letting that market, trade out for a few minutes afterwards and then start to resume a technical pattern. That's a big thing people miss. They'll see a great technical pattern going into a news announcement. They'll say, oh, it's just going to get better after that news announcement. And they often find themselves getting hurt and whipsawed on the opposite side. So I hope it's okay to share with
a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it's okay to share my personal beliefs with the audience today. They can internalize them as they will, or choose to reject them as they will. Of course, it's just pure education. But you want to know what makes me successful? Like, these are the same philosophies I carry into my trading competitions that I've had here and used in 2022 and 2023 to have my best years in modern memory. So these are things that hopefully people come to realize, if nothing else, over time. Oh, I remember that Rob guy told me that down the road.
Right. So let's take a look at a trade. I mean, based on what you're seeing here, what is it that you're looking for that enters you into a trade?
Sure. So I'm real big on top-down analysis, and that's another thing that's really hard, for people to see when they first come into like the Apex program, where they come in to using wealth charts and that. It's like, well, wait, Rob, you love to day trade. Why are you looking at a daily chart? Why are you looking at an hourly chart? And the reason is because the path of least resistance is going to be created when we have the 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute charts in sequence with the hourly and the daily charts. The more of the higher time frames that are against you, the more likely that your short-term trend is going to revert against you. So what makes the difference between like a 1 minute chart that might just go and go and go versus, okay, it goes up for a few minutes, gives a couple good buy signals, goes up a little bit, and then boom, it turned right around and went the opposite direction. So which ones are most likely to statistically run versus the ones that are more likely just to turn around when you get into them and pretty quickly thereafter pull back? It's those higher time frames. So I like to look at the higher time frames first. So for instance, I'm looking here now at the SPY. Okay. Now you can do this with the S&P future. You can do this with the NASDAQ future, but I like to see what the general market of traders and investors and the algorithms are looking at. So you can see here in the backdrop, we'll talk about each of these things here in our time that we have remaining. But the champion trend, we have the champion cross. We have what's called a wealth signal, a breakout forecaster, and a range breaker. Breaking all that down, make it real simple for you for time today. And again, hopefully what will happen, Gates, we can bring me back another time and I can just get in and do a couple training segments just on this. So all this preparatory work about who I am and what I do, you can just refer people back and we just spend half-hour segments like I did the other day for the Chicago Board of Options Exchange, just and train this group, because you guys are, if you're with Daryl and you're with Apex, you're a friend of mine, and I want to see the best for you. So what I'm looking at is, first thing first, I don't even want to look for a long side trade unless this champion trend is green. And then the champion cross, I'd like to be green and above. I'd like to be a green and above the champion cross. If I have the champion trend and the champion cross both going in, and these are just tools that are included as part of wealth charts. So we got a lot of Apex people that use this. And so what happens is, now I know I'm looking only for a long side trade. I don't counter trend trade. I am exactly the opposite of a counter trend trader. My biggest losses in my trading career, and what I see for most traders out there, tend to be when they're counter trend trading. You'll make a little, lose a lot. And so the whole premise of my work is based on trend trading with as many time frames as possible, and trading within pullbacks within the trend. So with that being said, and I know I said that fast, but I hope that hit home with everybody. Just to re-echo that, I trade on multiple time frames with the trend and look for pullbacks within the lower time frames with the prevailing uptrend for my re-entries. Those are statistically the highest probability entries, and most of my scans, most of my work is all designed to find those kind of setups. All right. Okay. So first things first, you'll see here the daily chart is just in a beautiful uptrend. I've got my champion trend, champion cross, wealth signal, which usually comes up near, more frequently than not near the beginning of a trend. And then we have a breakout forecaster, which means even after a pullback, statistically, we're looking for a higher high. That's going to be important, because you can even see this morning now, we had all of those same things firing off here earlier this morning near the U.S. Open. And then the market continued to take off well past the U.S. Open, pull back, and then did make that higher high. So one of my favorite entry opportunities, and we'll talk more about this in a moment, is that re-entry when you get the pullback, let the market pull back. See, most people who are trying to get funded, they're a little bit afraid. And so they're like, see, look, it's pulling back. I knew it was going to pull back. Good thing I didn't take that trade. And then all of a sudden it starts going back up, Oh no, I could have gotten funded if I would have taken a trade like that. So then they jump in, and then they turn around, they get stopped out, right? Sure. And then it goes right back their way. So what I'm looking for in a situation like that is not to chase the market up. Let the market pull back, come into this champion cross, as I call it, and the champion trend, and start to pop back out of the champion cross back into the direction of that 1 minute chart, that hourly chart. Because look, this is the hourly chart now for the last several days. So I told you I'm not a counter trend trader. So look at this, gang. Do I want to be looking for longs or shorts when I'm not a counter trend trader? Look at that. I'll zoom it in a little bit. You can even see what's happening. Do I want to be looking for longs or shorts? I absolutely want to be looking for long side trades. So, and then we already saw the daily chart was beautiful to the upside. So now I got my daily, I've got my hourly. And so now I'm going to break it down to those short-term time frames here. And that's the power of this analysis coming together. Don't jump into it after it's gone. Either you get into it early on with some of my early signals, like for instance with the champion trend pack, which I said is part of wealth charts for free. Right. Or I want to, if I miss that, or because it was too close to the U.S. Open, because remember, sometimes you want to avoid the U.S. Open, and I won't ever be upset with anybody who avoids the U.S. Open. You give it a handful of minutes, 5 or 8 minutes, let it settle out a little bit, maybe even 10 minutes, and then look. Okay, well, so today, if you did that, well, then you basically missed that initial move. Okay, is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. And that's the big thing. We have this psychology like, well, we missed it. We're never going to see that again. Which is absolutely not true. And with the flexibility of your program that you guys have, you don't just have to jump in there and, okay, all has to be done today or you don't qualify. And so, right. And for me as a trader, I don't have to trade every moment of every day. Quite the opposite these days. So what happens is now instead, then you wait for the pullback. And then when it starts to come back out of the champion cross, you look for the reentry, because now I got my 1 minute, all the things I'm looking for. Remember, this little tool here called the breakout forecaster means statistically after a pullback, we're expecting a higher high, of which it did get. Okay.
Right.
So my whole premise, and then we'll pull it forward here a little bit, in fact, let's just do that real fast to the current market. So here's what happened a little bit ago. So after that point, we had negative divergences. Now, I would love to do a master's class for your team here on just negative divergences sometimes, Gates, because this is where traders really lose it. They totally miss it. They want to take those trades because what they see is, so they don't take the trades that's coming back out here like that I focus on. They wait till it goes and makes the higher high. They become breakout traders. And the problem is, unfortunately, when you get negative divergences, those breakouts often fail. And so we had here the negative divergence, which is auto-generated by wealth charts. And it's so fast in real time, it actually goes ahead and it will identify as it's happening, which is kind of cool. But what happens here is then this market pulled back. All right, so now when I'm in this situation right here, this is where a lot of people get it wrong. They say, oh, well, that hourly chart and that daily chart are an uptrend. So I'm just going to buy. I'm going to buy early. I'm going to get much better pricing. The problem is that happens a lot. And so, if people are willing to be honest here and they want to share it, that sometimes they want to catch that pullback to get top tick or bottom tick, especially as they're trying to qualify, for instance, or they have some sort of other pressure. Their husband or their wife says, at the end of the week, we need to take some money out of the trading account to pay some bills. So they're like, oh, well, I got to get more money in there. I got to get more money, right? Which is so great about like what your program does is it, it allows people not to have that kind of pressure. So, but the thing is that as this is pulling back here, I don't trade here. I don't go long in this environment. This is exactly the opposite of what I said. It's red on the champion trend. It's red on the champion cross. No trade there. No trade until we go forward. Oh, now let's look at what we have here this morning. Okay. So as we're focusing here, you'll notice we're well past all the news, right? Because the last news that came out was the conference board leading index news at 10 o'clock Eastern. So we're clear of the news, right? Scheduled news. Now we've gone back here. We've now fired off a champion trend, champion cross, a wealth signal, which often will denote in the direction of the overall trend a new cycle, and then most importantly the breakout forecaster, which means that even after a pullback we expect what? A higher high, right? You get a pullback and then a higher high. So let's just pull us back to where we're at here with the live market as I'm looking at this. And there we have it. So you'll see there, look what it did. It went off and did definitely make higher highs again. Okay. So, and now we're basically near the high of the day on the daily. The hourly chart is at the high of the day. We have this whole strategy. I'd love to teach your group one of these times if you have me back on the inventory and reverse inventory retracement bars. I have whole strategies on that, and wealth charts will actually help just identify those trades for people automatically. So I'll just kind of show that here. And so it's really nice, these little dots here where those had actually fired off. And so what happens here is that you see the hourly chart actually has one of those inventory retracement bars there. So we're bullish on the hourly, we're bullish on the daily. And so whenever we start firing off on those 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, whatever your personal favorite time is, I like the 1 minute, the 2 minutes, because frankly, with like the NASDAQ futures here, for instance, I mean, at $20, a point, $5 a tick, but this thing will move 5, 10 points in seconds at times, right? So there's a lot of opportunity to go ahead and be had, in this environment. Even looking at from this area right here, this was approximately the 780 level, and over the next roughly 10 minutes, it went up to the 815. So it went up 35 points, about $700 for one contract in roughly 10 minutes there. So there's a lot of opportunity. And this is where people get it wrong, in my opinion. They're so worried about chasing every little micro move. Why not look for the macro picture? Hourly, daily chart, check, it's up. Hourly chart, check, it's up. So why am I trying to short this thing to the downside? Why not wait for the next set of buy signals to come in here back on the 1 minute chart. So now my 1 minutes with my hourlies, with my daily, that's high performance. That's high quality trading. That's champion trading right there. And that's what I also do during my trading competitions. For instance, I've had people even mock me at some of the international trading competitions before. They'd say, so-and-so's made this much money, so-and-so's made this much money, and Rob Hoffman is still flat, and then they would say that a couple of times. After a couple of times, they would start laughing, right? And then it's like, so-and-so's this, so-and-so that. Rob Hoffman is now ahead. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, Rob Hoffman won the trading competition because I waited for the right trade at the right time, the right reasons. I've literally been laughed at in some of the competitions over the years where you get these big audiences and the commentators like, Rob Hoffman's still not doing anything, because I wait for the right trade, gang. And that's the beauty. These markets, these last several weeks have given so many, not this last several weeks, the last couple of years, you saw best years in modern memory for me. Have given so many incredible opportunities. This morning, as I'm talking to you, they've gone ahead and given us these wonderful opportunities just by checking what's going on with the daily, checking what's going on with the hourly, and then trading that short-term time frame back into the direction of that overall strategy. And I know we're short on time, but that's me in a nutshell. That's my work right there, Gates.
Now, I appreciate that, man, and that's absolutely incredible, and I love that these are actually included with wealth charts to be able to see all of this stuff. And the question came up, and this was actually a question that I was thinking as you were going through this, is a question we get a lot, which is risk reward. When you enter one of these trades, where are you setting a stop, and what kind of a target are you looking for? What does that look like for you?
Great question. Great question. So there's a couple of things here there's a couple other tools that are part of wealth charts that I didn't put on here. There's things called my speed lines. And so what happens is part of this is risk management. So me, for instance, like in a situation like this where I'm kind of like throttling to the upside here, I'll just put a simple speed line behind it. In fact, let me just do that real quick. And I know we got to be mindful of the time, but I will just put that on real fast. So let's just do this. So these are part of wealth charts. So I'll put speed lines on there. As soon as we start to have once we have a close back beyond the speed lines, game over. There it is. Game over.
You're out.
So the entry is, down here as it's firing back off. And then once it closes back down below there. But now if you're trying to swing from the fences for a bigger trade, longer trade, you can actually use the champion cross here, which is, like I said, this more cloudy looking thing. Or if you're really going for the big kahuna, the champion trend. But when I'm looking for these, look, I've got half an hour. I got an hour before I'm doing an interview or a presentation like I'm doing for you now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just go as soon as it breaks back below the speed lines, I'm done. I'm out of the trade. I'm going to go as pure velocity, not swinging for the fences. I'm not going to sit there and hold it for hours. Does that make sense? So depends on what my initiative, my goals are, how much time I plan to spend in front of the screen, etc. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we have the opportunity to watch the replay to get more detail if we want to slow that down. So real quick, and I don't want to gloss over this because I think it's such an incredible opportunity. You also are the host and CEO of Wealth 365 Summit, which is an online live summit. It is absolutely free to attend. You want to give us a quick 30 seconds on that?
Sure. Yeah. If everybody just wants to go to, Wealth, so here is Wealth Charts just accepted another award on Monday, and we're very excited about that. But if you guys want to go to wealth365.com/wealth charts, wealth365.com/wealth charts, I will be teaching all throughout the week. So it's the big Wealth 365 Summit. It's the largest online trading investing show in the world. And it's always a 4-digit audience all throughout the week, and incredible. It has Daryl, in fact, the Apex CEO, will be speaking on there. We'll be doing a class together, and I'll be doing a lot of training classes. So a lot of the things I talked about just for a few minutes here today, I'll be expanding out throughout the whole week. So if you go, and it's just a great place to learn a lot more of my strategies in absence of me coming back here in the short term. So if you just go to wealth365.com/wealth charts, wealth365.com/wealth charts, and then I can spend a lot more time with you. I've got like several designated speaking slots during the day, and then I come back each night and just open forum, answer all of your questions till your heart desires. I spend hours each evening with everybody. So I'd love to have everybody there, to come see me. I've got nothing to sell you today. This is pure value. So wealth365.com/wealth charts.
And definitely check that out. Once again, that is free. And then with a real quick last minute, Rob, I want to thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today. And I know you have so much more to share. So definitely appreciate that. For the rest of you out there, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Make sure to come back next week, Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern time for a brand new episode of the Trader Bacon Show. Today's winners, Jesse, Naha, and Tebarek. Emails have been sent. Thank you guys so much. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded,